We do. The city alone is starting to become a little bit more active in our own economic development because we were working with the enterprise group for so long. They're dealing with the entire Jackson County, so sometimes they look at whatever is the path of least resistance. So that might be a greenfield out in Blackman Township versus trying to do a rehab and brownfield project in the city. They'll fall to the enterprise group. I mean, their job is to get jobs in Jackson. You know, and Jackson is Jackson County also. But we are looking at ways we need to grow our tax base within the city proper. So to do that, we've kind of taken a step back and now are looking to ramp up efforts around economic improvement city only, so that we can try to help do that. But we work well with the enterprise group on it.
There was opportunities. I don't know if they're still available, but I can look into it. Work with second stage companies to help them identify opportunities to grow their business and maybe diversify. They're like relying on one sector, that obviously relying on one sector can be dangerous sometimes. So that might be another way to access maybe some grant money to help some businesses in different areas.
Sure.
I would tell you that for a long time, the Economic Development Corporation treated all of our vendors across the state like garden clubs. We've been the base improved and wrong so much that they don't do that so much anymore, but it wasn't by their choice because we're kind of feisty.
Okay, so I think at this point we're going to open it up to questions from people in the audience.
Maybe it's already how I'm educated, and I have a question about for the city amending the charter so that there's equal protection under the law of categories to the city. This has been since Harold Waite was chair of the Human Relations Commission. That was the last project he attempted. I was helping him with that, and it's been 12 years. I bet Celine has an ordinance that amends their charter so it's in line with what 36 or more other communities. So if that is passed, thank you. If it hasn't passed, when and why? Well, wouldn't that bring in business? Wouldn't that be something that would say we are progressive, we want you here, come on now, don't matter.
It's making its way through the process.
How many years?
It's only been on our desk a few times.
Every year. When? What can we do? Do you want somebody to make a motion? What? Vote on it, and if you don't vote on it, then we'll put it on the ballot. But let's do it because it's part of this process of moving forward. Hello? Don't you think? Really? I mean, really. Let's do that.
I think as a state, we ought to be more welcoming, more definitely. And I appreciate what you're saying, and I think that is a very important way to move forward and be more welcoming.
It's something we can do. It doesn't cost any money, really. And it speaks volumes.
You talked earlier about that consistency in manufacturing, and it's so true that at one point you could buy anything that was ever manufactured. You never had to leave the city of Jackson. That was in everything was there. How can we tap into that history, including that huge railroad complex we have out there, and like you said, the railroad station, the largest running railroad station, the prison, and other things that makes this a very historic site in Michigan, one greatly overlooked.
We were one of the top 3 or 4 countries in the whole United States. It was the industrial center.
Yeah.
We were one of the 3 or 4
We were the
manufacturers,
largest.
and that was due to the old
Largest what?
Largest state was in the United States.
Here in Jackson County.
Jackson County.
Tom Grace working, they came really close, and it seems like it's falling through the cracks again. We have our high-speed rail going from Detroit to Chicago, which is fantastic. He was also working on an intercity track that went up to Lansing and Ann Arbor for a commuter train, and they were going to use the railroad yard as the repair station for high-speed rail and that. And I don't know what happened, but he claims that a few individuals in the old guard, and it's fallen apart again. An inner-city track from Lansing to Ann Arbor, being the heart of that, would really be a showcase for Jackson. So we need to find out what happened and how to resurrect that again.
We had more railroad cars going to this city.
21 lines.
Yeah, 21 lines, 200 trains a day.
Well, I think you can make this the innovation capital of Michigan. I mean, you can just start branding differently. And, you know, maybe, I'm pretty good friends with some folks that have been here before, and I think that's far enough away that you're not a direct competitor. I mean, you can complement each other and maybe partner, and, because I know they really pride themselves on being, you know, in the innovation, district, just the Henry Ford Museum. You know, that's something maybe they can come in and talk to the Jackson region about using the railroad station in a more creative way, and adding, you know, adding some things that really bring your history in, but while it's being used. And the high-speed rail, this is a huge opportunity for the state of Michigan. So I think just, you know, building on your history, but, you know, making it like a tourism. You know, the fact of the matter is, you know, the top 3 economic sectors in the state of Michigan are manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. So you have manufacturing, you have tourism in your city. So you should be trying to use that, and I think that would be a great opportunity to partner. And then obviously you're surrounded by a lot of agriculture. That's something that we didn't really talk about here, but I know that's a big conversation that's going on around the state on agriculture this year. And you know, local food systems, and really, I mean, one of the biggest things that, as I'm going around talking to different folks, is the local economy, having, you know, people, you guys have a great history of buying things locally and having that economic churn stay in your community. For every dollar you spend in a local business, that multiplies so many more times within local businesses. Within the local economy, it's a much better investment than going into a store that, you know, goes somewhere else. So,
Here to see everyone. Ms. Driskell, why did you support Proposal 1, which is overwhelmingly unpopular with people in Michigan?
I'd be happy to explain why I support it. Proposal 1 was, I have been working on transportation funding for the last 10 years as a local mayor, and also I was chair of the 7th County Metropolitan Planning Organization that was the first region. This current mayor and the previous mayor identified that we had a shortfall in transportation funding for the last 10 years. There was no proposal that came through the legislature until last fall that would actually try to do something to address the funding. And as we all know, we have terrible roads, terrible transportation system. It's an embarrassment to our tourism, to our businesses. We are supportive of investing in our roads, the Farm Bureau, the Chamber, everybody. And it wasn't a fun proposal, right? It was really complicated. It had a lot of different moving parts to it. But at the end of the day, that was the only thing that the majority of the Republicans would agree to. So in order for us to get something out that would actually fund our transportation system, which is my goal, I was on the transportation committee last term. And I'm embarrassed to say I called it the Do Nothing Committee. My experience was really negative. We voted for fundraising license plates and to memorialize highways. And that was about all we did. There was one proposal that came out, went over to the Senate, that basically addressed diesel parity, dealt with some efficiencies on trucks and some things that would have improved on the commercial side of how we are funding, paying for our roads. But when it went to the Senate, but it didn't really address, it was maybe $50 million increase in funding. We need $1 billion. So $1 billion is, our total general fund budget is about $10 billion. So this is a substantial, and a road fund is about $3 billion. So this is a substantial lift. It's not going to come from, you know, just like, you know, making our trucks, you know, cutting our, like everybody says, well, let's cut the weight of trucks. We have the highest weight in the country. It's not going to come from that. So we need to find a solution. At that time, there wasn't another solution. There was a lot of folks that are term limited. There's a lot of conversation right now going on. As a matter of fact, I was talking with a lot of the school boards in my district this morning They're very concerned that we're gonna continue to use the general fund for funding our roads. And what we were doing the last 4 or 5 years is taking money out of the general fund, using it for the roads, and then therefore we weren't gonna have enough money to fund other things, so then they were taking money out of the school aid fund. So it's like this vicious thing. And this was gonna solve that problem. And I know there was a lot of other things that were mixed up in it, but at the end of the day, that was the only thing that was able to come out of the house. And, out of all chambers, and that was very difficult, very frustrating. But I feel your pain. I was really disappointed. We now continue to have a huge problem. I'm not optimistic. I feel, I know that there's a lot of different people working on different avenues on this. I think there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people don't understand that right now you pay 6% sales tax at the gas pump. It does not go to your roads. So anybody that says we have the highest tax, on gas in the country, that's true because we have a gas tax and a sales tax. So it's true. But do we have the highest tax on gas that goes to our transportation system? Absolutely not. We actually have the lowest in the Midwest. So it's a big problem, and some people felt that this was a way to fix the problem of get the sales tax off the gas because it doesn't go to the roads. But if you do that, then you have a problem with not funding schools and communities. And we already have a lot of schools and communities that are struggling financially. So it was a way to try to fix things, but obviously it wasn't successful. So we're going to continue to move forward and try to find
Is
a
it
better
about
answer.
prioritizing? You can't fund everything, so reprioritize and fund the high priorities?
I think it's really complicated. I'm in my second term. We did eliminate a lot of revenue back. There was we addressed the MBT before I got into Lansing, got elected, and I was very concerned because we had just come off a national recession. We had a single state recession first, then we had a national recession. We had a lot of challenges in my community, both with my schools, which were really great school system, and our community was struggling financially, and then we cut more business taxes. And that, we should have done something that was revenue neutral. As a local elected official, it's really easy to cut taxes. It's really hard to raise them later, right, when you need them. So when you're in a recession or when you're having a tough time. So I think that's a problem that we have here with the limits and Lansing, that it's easy to solve a problem today without thinking about the ramifications of 5 years from now. And that's kind of the problem.
We'll take one more question.